Otis and the Kittens. Otis and the Kittens by Lauren Long and Philma Brooks. It was a hot dry on the farm where the friendly little tractor named Otis lived. Otis could remember the last time it rained. Farmers all over the valley grew more anxious by the day. Water was short in supply, the ground was hard, and the corn stalks were half as tall as should have been. Otis spent his afternoons on the swelling fields with the farm hands spinning straw. Once the load was full, with a puff and a chuff, Otis pulled the wagon into the old barn down by the bed of old mud back. The farm hands would usually pull and lift the bale up into the loft where it would be stored for the long winter to come. When the sun was gone over the hill and work was done, Otis was ready to sit in the shade, but not Otis' friend, the bull. Looks like they're having fun. The bull liked to stand in front of the Otis and snore on a snail and huff in air, 2 snorts in a snail and in a huff. All the animals knew that meant. Bull was changing Otis to the tug-of-war. Otis smiled. His friends were always eager to play, even after a long day of work. One duck wound the rope and pulled his horns. Another duck looped the other end through his steering wheel. The animals then took sides, grabbing the other way around they could. Everyone pulled the tug all the night. Eventually, Otis would ease up a little, didn't care much about whining. He just liked to have fun with his friends. One afternoon, when everyone was up under the shade of an apple tree, Otis spotted something moving down the field. It looked like an orange tabby cat. Where did she come from? Otis wondered. He watched as he ran towards the old barn. There he saw something that caused his engine to spur, a swirling of smoke. Otis raced to the barn with the animals being following behind. They discovered flames from the loft of the old barn. Fire. The barn was filled with brittle straw. Small Otis knew it would keep off the burst into flames. Just then, the tabby cat appeared at the barn window. With a puff, pea, chuff, Otis rushed into the barn, burning. Inside the flames, where growing smoke was forming in a dark cloud. The cat was pacing back and forth, hiding in the rafters. Otis jumped down. The cat wouldn't budge. Instead, she stared down at Otis and belted out the loudest mellow Otis had never heard. What was the thing trying to tell him? Otis finally heard a tiny meow, and then another tiny meow. Another and another and another. Once 5 furry little heads popped up and down kittens. As flames blazed overhead, Otis stood to the wheels stretched up the edge of the loft. The chorus of the tiny mellows, one by one, the kittens hopped down. The farm animals cheered as Otis emerged from the burning barn with kittens all over him. As soon as the mama cat counted their heels, she mellowed frankly back at the barn. This time, Otis said no doubt that she was swaying. How many more is there? He wondered. But then, at the top of the barn was engulfed in flames, sending large plumes of smoke in the sky. Otis was afraid, but he grunted and grinded the engine soars and backed it into the burning barn. Inside, the heat was growing worse and it was had to breathe. Otis revealed his engine. And one last heard pop-up trembling of the fear. Otis puffed, juggled the chuff of the kitten, climbing down on top of him, helping to his heat, leaped to the floor, and scrambled out of the barn to safety. Outside, the animals cheered, and they saw another kitten emerge. Then they watched Otis to follow. Inside, the flames speared by the second. Otis wheeled around, and more kittens were left. Old boards and barns creaked, buckled, and moaned. Walls popped. He couldn't wait another second. Just as Otis splashed to the exit and reached the wheels to leave, there was a giant crash. The floor collapsed and Otis plunged into the darkness below. Oh no. Outside, the animals heard the breath, waiting for their friends to emerge. Inside, the Otis couldn't move. He had fallen, the clutter lower the old barn, and then he was covered with dust, debris, and broken parks. Stuck in the hole, with the fire raging above, Otis could hardly puff a breath. Then he heard the siren of the fire chief Douglas and the fire engine. The farmer pulled up and Otis heard running into the animals. He arrived. He knew the fire until he could fire Chief Douglas' collar. Sorry, farmer, the creek's gone and the bar is simply too. Low had saved the old barn. As long as everyone saved below the burn. Underneath the pile of boards and dust, Otis couldn't see a thing or move a gasket. His heart sank deep inside the engine. The animals had grown wild with fear. The farmers counted them one by one. They were all safe and sound. He couldn't figure out why they were acting so crazy. Suddenly, the little calf bolted the barn below, and the friends followed right behind. Inside the fire barn, they spotted Otis stuck in the hole, covered with boards and dust, and he was barely running. How could they ever get him out? The bull looked at the rafters and down at Otis, and he stood in front of the hole and snorted and snarled and huffed of hot air. 2 snorts, a snarl, and a huff. Animals knew just what that meant. One duck grabbed a pulley round and round the bull's horns. Another duck flew at the hole and looked at Otis' steering wheel. The bull snorted and tugged and snarled at the bull, but Otis didn't budge. The horse and cow grabbed the rope behind the bull. Together they snorted and tugged, and the neighbors pulled. Otis teed the doors so light. The little calf jumped in and tugged and pulled, and Otis raised a bit more. A pull grabbed the rope behind the little calf with fierce pull, the growl. Otis edged toward. Then came a piercing meow, and the sound of Fire Chief Douglas shouting, "Holy moly, this is Otis in there. Hold on tight, everyone. I'm here to help." The Fire Chief Douglas grabbed the end of the rope, tugged, and pulled the tug. All together, the animals and Fire Chief Douglas Otis higher and higher until it was suspended above the hill. A duck swooped in and pushed him over the edge, whipping a car over the floor. Together, everyone pulled the dust. Ashes covered tractor. Out from the burning fire, the parts began far to fall. Then the Fire Chief Douglas and his men hosed off Otis and wiped down his frame. The cool water weaved Otis. Everyone cheered. When they cheered, a faint pull puttered stuff. It was music to their ears. The kitten jumped off the toilet, crawled over the rib. Fire Chief Douglas laughed and said, "Farmer, what say we adopt these kittens for Mama? They make a mighty fine addition to the firehouse family." Otis pulled a happy cup. He didn't think it a better home for his new friends. The end. For the brave who run toward the danger instead of away.